My name is Marina, and I just wanted to share something that I witnessed during a shift that's always kind of stuck with me. It wasn't something I was directly involved in, but I was right there and I knew both people personally. It ended up being kind of a dramatic moment between the two coworkers, and looking back now with everything that we've gone over in this module, I can see how it could have been handled like way better. So basically, one of the nurses who I was friends with had a patient on BiPAP. So she decided to take the patient off BiPAP and let them try to breathe by themselves for a little bit. I was nearby and I knew of her plan. Another nurse who I was close with happened to walk by and see the patient looking like they're struggling to breathe. Vitals were always fine during this trial. Without checking in or asking anyone, she immediately puts the BiPAP back on the patient. So now the original nurse comes back and saw that she was on a BiPAP, and she was super upset. She started yelling. They started yelling at each other in the hallway, and it turned into like a big scene in front of the other staff. People were uncomfortable, and like neither of them were happy about what just went down. I didn't get involved in the argument. I'm not really that type of person. But later they came to me separately to talk about it, and I just listened. I stayed neutral, and I tried to help them see the other side. And by the end of the shift, they ended up talking to each other and working it out. So thankfully, it didn't turn into anything long term. But looking back, um, this situation was definitely just a case of poor communication. Both nurses thought they were doing what was best for the patient, but they didn't talk to each other. The second nurse probably felt like she was stepping in to help, but the first nurse, but she felt like she was being disrespected or overridden. This is exactly the kind of thing we've been learning about in our modules: horizontal conflict, emotional reactions, and lack of teamwork. It also kind of reminds me of the self justified bullying concept. Not that either one was bullying, but they both acted based on what they thought was right without thinking about how the other person would feel. In that moment, I honestly didn't know what to do. I didn't want to step in and make it worse, and I didn't want to take sides. I think I handled it okay by just staying supportive and by giving them space to vent. But next time, I'd probably speak up a little earlier, maybe suggest they take it somewhere private before it turned into a hallway scene. Also, I've learned about how important it is to communicate clearly about your plan of care, especially when you're stepping away. If everyone's on the same page, stuff like this doesn't have to happen. So, in conclusion, in the end, I'm glad they worked it out, but it really showed me how quickly things can escalate when people don't communicate. As nurses, we're all stressed and we're all trying to do the right thing, but we have to remember to talk to each other, not over each other, and that's how we keep things safe for our patients and ourselves.